and welcome to the Fintech Show. This week's episode is all about bank branches. Can they re-establish relevance and survive in this digital era? To find out, we sit down with Allen International, who specialise in innovative branch design with the modern consumer in mind. We also speak with Bank of Ireland and Virgin Money, who tell us all about their branch networks and their efforts to retain that human connection with their customers. So we're here in central London to speak with Allen International to find out how they're improving bank branches around the world.
My name is Richard Benson. I'm Creative Managing Director at Allen International, part of Accenture Consulting.
Oh, brilliant. So, Rich, can you tell me, what is the state of branch banking currently around the world?
It's really amazing, actually. I think we've been working with banks and retailers for about 28 years, but I think in the last couple of years we've seen more transformation around the world, and it's not just in one area. Actually, we're seeing all the way from South America to Europe and North America and Asia as well. I think what we're seeing is people grappling with the role of the branch, and we're seeing more people trialing different things, hopefully with us, that are needed by the local cultures and the businesses in that community.
Definitely. And I mean, what are some of the more extreme demands that you're seeing from customers now that we're very much in this kind of digital banking world?
It's funny, actually. I mean, we're still in this transition away from transaction in the branches. So we still have a fairly heavy footfall in different markets for people coming in to do things that they could do online. But on the whole, we're seeing people coming with more complex needs, things that they don't feel comfortable doing purely on the phone or on their mobile. So these are, the likes of more emotional things to connect to their money. We're seeing people managing their money in a different way and wanting more face-to-face help to do that. More progressive things that we're seeing is really just people using the bank branches beyond their banking needs. So the likes of communities, we see a lot of it around SMEs and entrepreneurs using the branches more as workspaces. Again, not always coming in with the prescriptive, I need to cash a check or I need to withdraw money, but asking more broad questions about how their financial well-being can be helped.
The challenges have always been that actually, if you analyse the queues in branches, it tends to be people working for corporate companies or SMEs. Very rarely does that reflect on the P&L of those branches, and that's a difficulty. So the digitalisation opportunity for SMEs is massive. So if we can get the SMEs doing a lot of the servicing, the transactional servicing in their own offices through the right portals, then we can negate the need for people to come to the branches. There's still going to be coin demand and cash demand, but those can be services we've experienced in places like Canada, where we've delivered Amazon-type lockers for 24/7 cash and coin delivery and cash and coin collection. So we can enable the customers through the digital channels to be able to use the physical channels to service their requirements.
Branch banking is transforming. We see banks that are investing in their digital technologies but also investing in their physical locations. When I think back to the noughties, it was very much a decade where branches were consolidating and some were closing and some were reinventing their spaces. If I think of some examples, JP Morgan Chase and also Bank of America announced in 2018 that they were going to open 400 or 500 banks. Banks in India did the same in terms of branches, not banks. And then when I think of the likes of Amazon is an institution we've always thought as a digital presence, and it's now looking at putting a physical presence as well. So I think there's an agility there. From my own perspective in Bank of Ireland, we listen to our customers and have actually reinvested in our cashier services with 40% more service across our network in the last 2 years, whereby we saw that this was an ask of customers. They wanted and demanded more of that cashier service, and we were happy to actually adapt to meet their needs.
So can you tell me about the process and the thinking behind revamping your branch network?
So prior to revamping our branch network, we analysed a lot of data in relation to our customer trends, how customers were availing of other retail products, what we were seeing from a footfall point of view into our channels. And with that in mind, we opted to go down the dual model approach, whereby we'd have flagship branches and we'd have self-service and advice branches. So across our 265 branches, we have 165 flagships and 100 self-service and advice.
Our initial engagement with Bank of Ireland was to look at Dublin University branch, the campus branch. So they had a branch in there already, and it was just servicing traditional sort of transactional activities, giving the students their loan checks when they arrived and those kind of things. And we determined that actually that isn't what the students needed. They needed more than that. So the space that it was in is actually sort of the refectory area of the university. And so we determined, first instance, let's not have a shop front on it. Let's make it completely open, let it allow it to spill out into the refectory area. Let's give some seating capability, let's link up some Wi-Fi so the students can use it. Let's open up the branch so it's not just all about closed spaces. Let's have spaces where the students can come in and use the meeting rooms for their own private little gatherings, and really have a friendly face to this bank and sort of break away that sort of traditional them and us kind of mentality. Now that was extremely successfully received, and it was just one of those things that happened that they were looking to an SME program. How could they take SMEs and also affluent customers and there's a fine connection between those often. How could they take that group and deliver a branch that would sort of satisfy their requirements? The Dublin University branch had just been completed, and the visual language of that was quite exciting. And so we started to adopt some of that visual language into the new designs of the branch at the Dock in Dublin, the first branch of this new model. And as we worked through with the team, we started to develop workspace for entrepreneurs to come in. We started to develop flexible spaces that could be cleared and made into seminar spaces. And in the background, what Bank of Ireland were doing, which is really where the success came, they were developing their Kickstarter program. And the program is really, really important because it put calendared events, it made a structure behind the space and gave it a purpose. And it meant that actually once we delivered this sort of flexible space, they were beginning to run events there on an almost daily basis, something like nearly 300 events in 1 year. They were able to bring in people who were not actually BOI customers to these events, to these hackathons, and really convert them into customers.
This is a model that we saw internationally across BBVA, across Ingbank, and also the likes of BNP. What the model means is that in some locations, customers can come in, they can self-serve, and they'll be able to meet with somebody from an advice point of view. But in our flagship branches, they're then multi-zonal. So they're branches like the one that we're in today, whereby we have community spaces, we have digital areas, we have self-serve areas, we have welcome advisors to help out with any queries, and we also have areas for engaging with customers on their overall financial well-being. So that's really the model that we've adapted. What we've also done is looked at spaces whereby perhaps we wanted to reimagine that space for use of the communities. Because being in those locations across Ireland, we very much want to ensure that that community presence enables those communities to thrive.
Your branches are referred to as lounges?
Yeah, some of them are, yeah.
What is a lounge?
What is a lounge? So at the moment we have a number of sites that we call Virgin Money lounges, and they are great spaces that reflect the fact that customers are no longer in the same volumes using the branch to undertake basic transactions. So we've created a place where, rather than that they need to go to, they want to go to, and it's simply a place that they can relax and socialise. We are slowly changing the format of those VM lounges so they incorporate some of those other things that I've talked about, particularly aimed at our SME business owners. So it's again a place that people can go and work in, can go and co-create in, network, or get some great educational content as well. But it's a place that customers will choose to go to rather than have to go to, and it helps us build a better relationship with those customers as a result.
What they recognise is that if you can take these young people from the university, show them that banking doesn't have to have all of these barriers, introduce them as they become the young entrepreneurs into business, and help them develop all of this all at the same time. There's no hard pressure on sales or any of those kind of things. It's really just there as a helping hand, and then take that through the other side into business banking propositions. they've got a really nice feeder into their customer base. As an acquisition tool, it's really powerful.
The model for bank branches on campus hadn't changed, but we started to look with Bank of Ireland at what the correct model should be for students banking. And what we realised was there's a lot of entrepreneurship on campus. So working with Dublin University, we actually created a space that was much more of a kind of drop-in, drop-out space. It allowed students to manage their finance throughout their course better. It was more open and inviting. And what we learned from that was a lot of entrepreneurs who are actually, students graduating, were talking about their startups and their businesses, or SME businesses they wanted to grow. So we actually connected that through a whole strategy of other locations connected to the campus branch. And the campus branch was purposely made to look as Google-like as we could. It was, you know, it was a space that we had a digital wall where people could post information about their society, so it became a true part of the on-campus community. But we put in there tidbits about how to manage your finance, ways to get through financial well-being at university. But we started to also introduce this idea of, have you a great idea for starting a business? We then moved forward to actually taking this on the journey, and we created, with the first branch in Grand Canal, their flagship branch, we created something called the Workbench. So this effectively was a space for entrepreneurs, startups, to use the branch to actually network with other people. We gave them free high-speed Wi-Fi, coffee, abundance amount of coffee, but the ability to really take part in seminars, to network with other people. And the smart thing that Bank of Ireland did was they invested in what we called an entrepreneur in residence. So this was someone that was a startup, that was connected to the startup community in Dublin, and actually gave networked events around it. So the branch connected to what was happening on campus when they came out of university. They were in this flagship branch. We put a full-time event manager in there, and they organised something like 250 events in 1 year. So it's pretty much 1 or 2 a day. And they were focused around not only startups, but other communities in the area. And it really created a real buzz about it. And this Workbench idea took on so well that we then expanded that to 6 or 7 different locations around Dublin, usually located close to university campuses in their branches. And really, the most important thing was it was never done with a hidden agenda. It wasn't about just gaining a new berth of SME customers. It was almost a way of the brand giving something back to the local community, which in this instance was a lot of fintech startups in Dublin, which is a real hub. And I think it all comes from a starting idea, which is how do we help our customers grow and ultimately their SME businesses grow? And really a marriage of the brand, the physical and the technology, which we're really, really proud of.
So looking to the future now, what financial services will customers be able to carry out with this omni-channel, self-service bank driven approach?
So when I look to the future, I think the opportunities are endless. With the transformation that is going on digital capabilities, when we look at open banking, when we look at APIs. So really it is down to what customer needs we are looking to assist with and how customers want to engage with us. So for example, be that through the likes of video banking, be that through screen sharing for more complex, be that through automated signing, automated uploading of documentation, more and more happening on the mobile phone, which I say is our busiest branch. So I think it's really how customers want to engage with us on their simple transactions, but also how that transformation and change and investment can actually assist them in making it easier for them to engage on maybe more of the more complex products as well.
What are some of the services that we can't currently do with a self-service machine that we will be able to do in the future?
Well, I think most of the things that you could ever possibly want to do with a bank, you'll be able to do via your mobile banking app at some point in the near future. In fact, you can pretty much do most things today. There are some things that I don't think you'll ever be able to do, and that largely involves cash, but pretty much everything else you'll be able to do through your mobile banking app. One caveat I would say is it is quite difficult to deliver a very human service via your mobile banking app. And what do I mean by that? There are some traits that are just absolutely human that I think people value, that I think still are accessed best by people, and that is empathy, understanding, creativity, passion, all those things that people can deliver face to face. I don't think you'll ever be able to replicate through a machine.
So just how critical is this omni-channel approach, this connected customer experience going to be going forward?
I think what a customer wants is that frictionless, seamless journey with the bank. And if they, for example, start a loan application with us on the app, and then they maybe get distracted, the kettle boils, they have to go to work, they have to go somewhere, and they end up walking by a branch. They want to be able to go into that branch and continue the journey there without having to start again. So, you know, as a customer, if I think of the services that I want from any of my service providers, it's very much around the know me and show me. So I'm a customer of yours, show me that I'm a customer, show me that you know me, and only ask me what you need to know that you don't already know. So it's really around making it as simple as possible for our customers across that omni-channel connected journey.
It's great to see companies trying to redefine how important the bank branch can be going into the next decade. That's all for this episode of the Fintech Show, but remember you can watch the rest of the series and much more over at www.fintech.finance. See you next time.